I call this August 23rd, public millage hearing number 2 to order. First thing on our agenda is the purpose of the hearing. Mr. Adams, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members and Dr. Branch. The purpose of this hearing is that we were notified by the tax commissioner and the Department of Revenue that there was a technical reporting discrepancy regarding our July 1st millage rate hearing. The DOR stated that it did not meet their interpretation of the code section. The DOR's interpretation of the code section is that it's a week is 7 days plus 1. We are committed to resolving this matter and holding new hearings to ensure we move forward appropriately. We re-advertised 2 hearings in the legal organ on August 15th, and these hearings will be held today. We had one at 10 o'clock this morning and this one at 2. We will have a special session to ratify the millage rate following this meeting at 2:30. The board approved the final expenditure budget and tentatively adopted a millage rate of 15 mills at the June 10th board meeting. With the release of the final tax digest, Oconee County Schools recommended a millage rate of 14.25 mills, which is a decrease of 0.75 mills from last year's millage rate. The law requires that the millage rate be advertised as a property tax increase as a result of the assessed values in the county being greater than they were a year ago. In order to not advertise as an increase, the millage rate would be no more than 13.934 mills. The board is required to hold 3 hearings for the purpose of listening to the members of the public on any thoughts they may have on this matter. The previous 6 p.m. meeting on July 8th met the DOR requirements and will be counted as a 3rd meeting. The final adoption of the millage rate will be ratified again at the special session after this meeting. The budget presentation, budget calendar, and budget documents are posted on Assembly with the corresponding meeting dates that mentioned earlier. The hearing dates and times have been posted on the school district website, social media accounts, and in the legal organ, and all advertisements have been published as required. The new hearing dates and times have been reviewed by the Department of Revenue and will meet the Department of Revenue's interpretation of the code section. With that, we still recommend a millage rate of 14.25 for fiscal year 2025. And that concludes my explanation of the hearing, unless there are any questions.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is public communication. Mr. Colquitt.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Ms. Argo, board members. We have 3 citizens signed up to address the board. Before I invite them up, I'll read this. Policies BCBI and BCBIR1 state that only Oconee County residents or school system employees may address the board, and that members of the public shall conduct themselves in a respectful manner that is not disruptive to the conduct of the board's business. The board allows 3 minutes for those who sign up prior to the meeting. Please state your name, address, and topic. The board requests that you refrain from making any disparaging remarks about school system personnel. Generally, there will be no response to comments or questions posed by citizens at the meeting. All comments and questions will be taken under advisement by the board. However, any board member shall be free to respond and make public comments if he or she elects to do so. To any citizen wishing to provide documents for board members, please submit them to the Director of Communications before the meeting or prior to addressing the board. Please remain at the podium during your public comment time. Our first citizen is Ian Taylor.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, folks. I'll keep it brief. We've done this before. Not often you get a tax do-over, so. Okay, so a millage rate of 13.934 saves the taxpayers $1,090,733. I'm going to go back to my question around investment and income. Income and investment income is budgeted at $50,000. Last year, you received $2.1 million in income. You're going to get similar to that amount this year, even if the interest rates are cut in half. That would still cover the $1 million on there. Because of the delay in the hearings, we've had the ability to see what's come in so far. Even in the first month, you'll have received $177,000 in interest income, and interpolating that out goes to the $2 million. So I really don't see how we can ignore that interest and investment income, especially if it could save the taxpayers $1 million in taxes. To my knowledge, I don't believe we've ever even acknowledged that that $50,000 is there, even though the public has been one of the most asked questions or most discussed things. There's been, to my knowledge, no public discussion around it. I've never heard the board ask any of the financial folks about it. The question is, why are we ignoring it? I did notice that last year, when you changed your budget at the end of the year, you took the budget from $106 million to $110 million, which was an extra $4 million, which was funded by $2.3 million in that same interest and investment income, $1.2 million in overcollection of taxes, which is good, and a grant for $900,000. So, to my mind, not taking that into account is kind of a violation of Georgia Code 20-2-16785, where it says, the budget of each local school system shall reflect all anticipated revenues from each source. I don't believe we're looking at that information, especially now that we know that we're getting that kind of money in. And really, I think if we're not taking account of it now, it's really becoming an off-book slush fund that we just find to spend, we find things to spend on later in the year. So I'm going to ask you again, please reconsider. This is a do-over. Please consider the millage rate of 13.934. Good? Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Laura King.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Well, my name is Laura King, and I come to you today as Chicken Little, telling you the sky, I think, is falling. I'm not sure. I think enrollment is going down and probably will continue to do so. There's a lot of information swirling around out there. It's hard to know what's true, what's not true. I've heard that Bethlehem enrollment has gone up. I don't think that's true. I just talked to the registrar a couple minutes ago. I think their enrollment of Oconee students is holding steady. I've also heard that Prince Avenue Christian has 10 grades with a wait list that's kind of unprecedented. Westminster, I'm told, has gone up 40 students. I don't know about Athens Academy, Athens Christian. My guess is their enrollment's going up. My guessing is homeschool enrollment's going up. I know the fertility rates are the lowest they've ever been. I think that enrollment is going to fall. I think it's going to be hard to keep everybody happy in the school system. You've got such a divergence of backgrounds, people who are of this persuasion or that persuasion. I see a clash of culture. And I see, if you look at the big picture, the worldwide picture, and you know anything about the World Economic Forum, you know that they have something called Agenda 2030, where their goal is to reduce private property ownership. They want corporate government-owned property. Things are heading in that direction. I'm told that less than 50% of property in the United States is privately owned now. And one way to usurp property ownership would be administratively, to take it by taxes. And so if that's the case, and the budgets keep going up with enrollments going down, building projects, new hires, new positions, what have you, it's going to make for a possible calamity. So I think that, people will lose their property ownership, not, no one's going to show up in your driveway with a gun, but just constant, unrelenting, increasing property taxes from the county, city, school board, et cetera. So I think that if that is the goal, I guess the Board of Education is doing a great job, because the taxes do seem to be going up. Mine have gone up certainly year over year, 2 years in a row at least. So anyway, I just encourage you, if this is a place that you want to keep vibrant with families, to please be cognizant, please be aware that the increase in property taxes is not in keeping with that goal, but it is in keeping with the goal of reducing private ownership of property. So please fact-check everything I've said. I do believe this is true, and it's happening all over the place, and it's just very strange. It's, to see people in charge that aren't really responsive to to the voters. So, but that could change, maybe not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next citizen is Pam Hendricks.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hello again. I guess I want to start off just talking about what is the purpose of this board. I don't understand because there's never been a vote that it's always been 5-0, every single vote. There's no discussion of issues. I just don't even really know why we need a board if y'all aren't ever going to push back. And I want to step out a little bit and talk about the purpose of government, kind of. The private sector, when you come up against increased costs and everything, you have to start looking at cutting. But the beautiful thing of government is you can just tax more. And, you know, I'm happy to say Oconee County decided not to tax us more. City of Watkinsville decided not to tax more this year. Y'all are the sole ones. The school board is the only entity in our county that just, you know, you've already set your budget. You know what you need. You are asking for more than you need. And what we know is your budgets tend to, you know, last year you ended up with $4,462,827 more than you were even expecting. And so meanwhile, I look at these cash balance reports every month, and they just grow. We started January 31st, 2024, we had 68 million. I'm just rounding them off. February, 65 million. March, 63 million. April, 60 million. May, 58 million. And we are now, as of June was 54 million, and then the last one, the July 31st, 2024, was $50,229,536.35. That's just sitting there. That's my money. That's every taxpayer in Oconee County's money. Now, yet on your budget, you say you only have 40 million fund balance, but yet that is so based on our budget, you should not have more than 17 million, and you have $50 million. That's just, I don't know anything else to call it but greedy. And we've pointed out some easy ones. We've pointed out correcting the budget, the 50,000, we've pointed that out again and again. That should be 2 million. That's an extra 2 million that you're taking out of our pockets already. Last year you got an extra 4 million just at the end. Then I really just want to say I've been studying this report that you sent out to the schools, and now we're all over the place. We have last year's operating budget, but we have the year before's per pupil expenditures. This is embarrassing. What you were, and I received 2 of them at my house, and it's not accurate, and it's now looking back instead of forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Argo, that concludes public communication.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.